Okay, good evening, everybody. I'll give you a minute to get in your places. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Paul Almeida. Can you guys hear me? If you can't hear me, put your hearing aid on. Good evening, everybody. If you guys want to say hello to everybody at home, you could wave and cheer. Say hi to them. Oh, are we singing O Canada? No, not today. So I'd like to get started, first of all, by announcing our sightseeing tour that we have going in September, late September of 2023. We're going to Croatia, and we have chartered a yacht with 19 rooms, 2 people per room, 38 people on the trip. And it's going to be a trip of a lifetime down the coast of the Adriatic coast in Croatia. I've been to Croatia already 3 times, so I know what a beautiful country it is. And I think that this is a trip that a lot of people will never forget. The link on the webpage is available now for those that want to download the brochure that aren't here tonight. And you can follow along if you like. The yacht was built in 2015 with state-of-the-art equipment and amenities. The main deck has a common area with a dining room, bar, indoor-outdoor lounges. The top deck has a jacuzzi, 30 sun loungers, and I can only imagine the view sitting up there as we're sailing through the islands of the Adriatic. Croatia, by the way, has over 1,000 islands. I didn't know that. The back of the boat has a swimming platform for easy access to the sea. And of course, they provide all the leisure equipment like snorkel gear, pool noodles, tubes, and there's an 8-person dinghy in case we got to go rescue you, which probably is going to happen. Inside the boat, we have 19, it's a deluxe category boat with 19 rooms on 3 different levels. 7 on the upper deck, 4 on the main deck, 8 on the lower deck, and 2 of the lower deck ones can actually fit a 3rd person as well. There's full Wi-Fi available throughout the entire ship. It's air conditioned. It has a TV, safety deposit box, wardrobe, full mirror in each room, nightstand, desk, chair, and vanity set. There's an ensuite with a shower in every room, and each room has either a twin or double bed, and the cabins are serviced daily. So we're departing from Edmonton. Right now we're in the process of securing flights for the trip. So there will be a couple of days before the boat cruise where we spent a couple of nights in Europe, either in Ljubljana, Slovenia, going down into Croatia, or flying into Venice and then going across into Croatia. On the way to where we have to catch the cruise, we're stopping in a town called Motvun to a winery where we'll have a tasting menu with 3 truffle-based courses and paired with wine and olive oil. And then we're going to the seaside resort town of Rovinj. We were there just this past September with a group, a corporate group here from Edmonton. That town is picturesque, one of the most beautiful little seaside towns that I've ever seen in my life. On the cruise itself, we have 7 nights with breakfast every day. We also have some lunches and dinners on the cruise, as well as the captain's dinner. And we overnight at Port City, so there's an opportunity to get off the boat and enjoy nightlife in some of the islands or some of the seaports. Some of the places that we're stopping on the tour are Zadar. They have a Roman forum, palaces, villas, city walls, a sea organ on the waterfront. And what a sea organ is they made it so that when the wind blows in off the sea, they made organ pipes so that the sea plays the organ. It's quite interesting. And the sunsets from there are unbelievable. We go to Split, which is the 2nd largest city in Croatia. It has the 1700-year-old Palace of Diocletian, the Roman emperor. And when the palace was abandoned, it's quite funny, it's not a museum or anything like that. People actually took it over and started living in the palace in the different areas of the palace. And so it's actually part of the city, a living part of the city, the palace. And the main areas are now marketplaces. We're going to Kirka Waterfalls. It's a natural wonder with 17 waterfalls with cascades up to 100 meters wide in a national park. I'm looking forward to seeing that. I've been to Plitvice National Park in Croatia, and this one they say is just as nice. On the way, we're going to a blue grotto, and what the blue grotto is, it's a grotto and light comes in from the outside and it lights up the base of the grotto and it turns light blue on the inside. So it's a very unique geological feature that we're going to go see there. We're going to the town of Korkala. It's where Marco Polo was born, and it has medieval stone ramparts. You'll see it up there. It looks like a castle coming in off the water. And then the big city that everybody wants to go to, and I'm sure we've all seen parts of this city in many movies and also on the Game of Thrones, and that is Dubrovnik. And in Dubrovnik, it's a walled sea city with 1,940 meters worth of ramparts that you can walk around. They also have a cable car that goes to the top of the mountain above the city, and you get an unbelievable view. You'll probably see it on the slideshow here, looking down onto Dubrovnik. It's just amazing. We're also going to visit some islands, as you see as we're passing by, and coastal towns of Vrab, Primiston, Vis, Hvar, and Brač. On these islands, we'll have tours, we'll have winery visits, dinners. So we have a lot of sightseeing tours included as well. The boat, we cruise during the day, stop, do some tours, come back on, port for the evening. And then you have an opportunity, like I said, to explore a lot of the towns. Post-tour, we're also going to have a couple of days after the tour. Right now we're in the process of securing our flights. We stayed in a town called Kavtat during our last Croatian tour, and it has a beautiful bay, all these little restaurants and shops along the bay. Just an unbelievable place to spend time. We could have stayed a week there if we had the time. And then we're looking at returning back to Canada on October 9th or 10th. And so the website is up for the tour. You can access it on our main webpage. Under sightseeing tours, just click on Croatia and it'll take you to the website where you can download the brochure. And the approximate cost of the tour is $6,500, including taxes, fees, everything. And so that's a 13, 14-day tour, including a room on a yacht, full services, sightseeing tours, insurance, the whole ball of wax. So if you're interested, that tour is open to register already. So if you're interested, you can go on the website and you can fill out the registration form online, and we should have a close to final itinerary here in the next week or so, along with a final price. Thank you. Okay, now for the tour that everybody here I think is waiting for, is our 2024 World Junior Hockey Tour to Gothenburg, Sweden. And if you guys remember, I can barely remember back to 2020 when we were in the Czech Republic. We were looking forward to a couple of trips coming up, not too far in the distant future, to the World Juniors in Russia and the World Juniors in Sweden. And then COVID came along and everything got shuffled and moved around. And thankfully for us, everything was shut down in the summer, not weeks or days before we were set to go on one of those tours. So I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful that we're able to again get together as we are tonight and able to travel. We've already done 3 tours this summer. We had a youth hockey tour that we took to Germany, Austria, Slovakia, Hungary, and the Czech Republic this summer that my son Mateo was on. And that was a lot of fun, and it was great to be able to do tours again. And then after that, we had a sightseeing tour. Put your hand up if you were on the classical tour to Europe. Yep, there's a few. Where we went to Italy, we went from Rome all the way north to northern Italy. We spent a few hours, a few dangerous hours at Oktoberfest in Munich. Managed to get people back on the bus and to Salzburg safely that evening. We spent some time in Salzburg, Vienna, and then we ended the tour in beautiful Budapest. That evening boat cruise is quite something in Budapest. After that, I had another tour arrive that I traveled with to Croatia. It's a corporate tour that we do annually, so that was their first corporate tour after COVID. And we went all the way down from Budapest into Croatia, all the way down to Dubrovnik. And it was great to have two tours back to back like that. I was in Europe, I think from September 3rd to October 10th or something like that. So it was quite a long journey with two tours back to back, but it was very enjoyable to be able to travel again and share some great memories with people, and a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a long time, including, as you can see, some of the people that are here tonight that have been on our World Junior Tours in the past. So I'd like to get started on the World Junior Tour for Sweden. We have a registration portal online that'll be available starting tomorrow. Everybody that has gone with us before and everybody on the priority list will get an email tomorrow morning with a password to get into that portal where they can access the rate sheet and the registration sheets and a FAQ sheet that should answer a lot of the questions that you might have about the tour. We had over 300 people in the Czech Republic last time. So those 300 people have first opportunity to register up until December the 15th, prior to us opening it to people on the priority list. People on the priority list, although, can send in their registrations in advance. We will number them as they arrive, and on the 16th, we start registering people based on the order that they arrived until we're sold out. So I'm expecting to take approximately the same number of people as we did last time. I'm not interested in taking 700, 800, 900, 1,000 people. I like to have a personal connection with the people that I take on our tours. I like to have a Christmas party, a New Year's party with everybody together. So that is very important to me. This tournament, I will have to say, one thing that we didn't have last tournament is we'll have everybody in one hotel. I have two hotels that we're looking at right now. We'll probably announce it in the next week or two. And the nice thing about Gothenburg is that our hotel will be walking distance to the main arena. The smaller arena, the Frölundasborg, is about a 15-minute drive away, not an hour, which is nice. And you'll be able to take local public transit to it as well if you want to go at your leisure. The nice thing about it is that if you don't feel like going to the early game or the later game, you just want to go to the Canada game that day, no problem. You can just walk across to the arena. We'll also have buses doing shuttles like we usually do for the farther arena, but it gives everybody a lot more flexibility if they want to hang around the rink after or party with some crazy Latvians or Swedes. Beware of the Latvians. This is our fifth. This will be our fifth tour to the World Juniors. We did take tours to Sweden and Gothenburg before. Some people in the room here, and you can put your hand up, were on our Oilers tour to Sweden and Finland, where we saw the Oilers open the season against the New Jersey Devils. And the game was played in Gothenburg, so we did tours of the city and we're familiar with the city. We've also, over the years, taken quite a few soccer groups from throughout Canada to Gothenburg. They host the biggest youth soccer tournament in the world called the Gothia Cup. And so we've taken quite a few people to that as well. Gothenburg is the second largest city in Sweden. So again, a lot of amenities, a lot of nightlife, very vibrant city, a lot of things to do. Our hotel, in addition to being very close to the arena, is only steps away from the center of town as well. So that's a great thing as well. It's also the fifth largest Nordic city of the Nordic countries. And it's known as a Christmas city, which is great. So they're big into Christmas and the Christmas spirit and the holiday spirits. And the big thing there is a fika. Who's heard of a fika before? A fika is a coffee break. So Swedes love taking coffee breaks. They always say, let's go for a fika. And a fika is about sitting with your friends, enjoying a hot coffee, and they make big cinnamon buns and all these nice desserts. So when you're in Sweden, that'll be a thing, going for a fika during the day, I'm sure. So we have 6 packages. As you can see in the brochure, we have 6 packages to the World Juniors with 3 departure dates. So we have 2 departures prior to Christmas, one on the 20th going to Stockholm. That will arrive on the 21st. We have 1 departure on the 23rd for those that want to arrive in Gothenburg just before the tournament starts, if you don't want to miss any games. And then we have 2 departures on the 26th for those that want to spend Christmas at home with family or friends and don't mind missing the first game or 2 of the tournament. And we'll be leaving Canada on Boxing Day to arrive there on the 27th. So a little bit about our pre-departure program for Stockholm. Again, if you go early, you'll get to enjoy the Christmas atmosphere, the Christmas markets in Stockholm. They also have the largest live Christmas tree in the world on its waterfront, so don't smoke near it. The Swedish capital is built on 14 islands, and it has quite an extensive archipelago that reaches all the way out to the sea. And some of the bigger highlights in Sweden, of course, they still have a royal family, so there's a royal palace there. There's the Nobel Museum. You guys are familiar with the Nobel Prizes. And the City Hall is also famous where they do the Nobel, and then also the Gamla Stan. The Gamla Stan is the old town, and it's colorful buildings, cobblestone streets, just what you expect from a European medieval city center. The Christmas market in the old town started in 1837. So it's quite a tradition there in Sweden for that Christmas market. We're going to do a guided sightseeing tour of Stockholm when we're there, and that will include the Vasa Ship Museum. So the Vasa ship was in the water. What happened was they built the ship. On its maiden voyage, it was supposed to just go from the dock downtown to the military base. So the king was all proud. It was the biggest ship that Sweden had ever built. The king decided he was going to put an extra level of guns on it to make it look more impressive. The shipbuilder standing next to him, families are on board of the shipbuilders. They're just going to, again, like I say, take it to the military base. The ship launches, it goes into the harbor. Little gust of wind comes, it starts listing one way. Okay, we're okay, it comes back up. Another gust of wind comes, the cannon doors are open, water starts pouring in, the ship went down. And it stayed in the bottom of the harbor till 1961 when they salvaged it. But what happened was the brackish water of the harbor preserved the ship so that they were able to salvage it, put it all back together and put it in this museum. And it's quite an amazing museum. When you see that ship live, it's unbelievable. And to just imagine the horror that day when that ship went down would have been quite a sight, I think. I wouldn't want to be the shipbuilder, that's for sure. We're also planning to do a cruise, Christmas cruise with dinner on board. Hopefully the harbor isn't frozen. Hopefully we don't hit an iceberg. We'll be like the Vasa, they'll bring us up in 333 years. If we have a problem where the tour is not possible, we'll do a dinner, a special dinner somewhere. But our plan right now is to do the buffet dinner on the boat and to do a harbor cruise. Our hotel in Sweden, again, is very centrally located. We've used it for a lot of our tours in the past. It's called the Clarion Sign. It's by the main train station, and it's also just a couple of blocks away from a pedestrian shopping street that leads all the way to the Gamla Stan and the Royal Palace. So it's a very, very good location. During your free time in Stockholm, some of the things you may want to do, the ABBA Museum. I'm not the biggest ABBA fan, but I've been to that museum 3 times, and I got to say it's an amazing museum. And there's a little red phone in the corner. If it rings, be sure to grab it, because it'll be one of the ABBA members calling, and they do it once in a while. So you better know your ABBA stuff. Incidentally, all the tours on the tour, the packages that we have, are named after a song from a Swedish pop group or artist. If you can name them all, I might give you a cheesecake. Stockholm also has a lot of great shopping, and again a lot of great cafes, so a lot of excellent place for people watching and walking around. On the 24th, we want to make sure we give our drivers Christmas Day off, so on Christmas Eve, the 24th, we'll be busing from Stockholm to Gothenburg. We'll make a stop along the way as well to break up the journey. It's about a 4.5, 5-hour journey. And that evening in Gothenburg, we'll have our Christmas Eve dinner, our buffet dinner that we usually have with everybody. And of course, the people that are leaving on the 23rd will be arriving that evening as well to join us. And hopefully they make it in time for dinner. The next big thing that we have, of course, is Christmas Day. Those of you that have gone before know that we like to have a little Christmas party on Christmas Day with some gifts for everybody, play some music, and have a nice dinner together. So we're looking forward to doing that again. And now comes the good part, all the stuff that happens during the World Juniors. So as I mentioned, those people that are leaving on the 26th will be arriving on the 27th evening. And the one thing is, I always get people say, hey Paul, I want to be on the same bus as my friends. I want to sit with my friends. Maybe you don't want to sit with your friends. Make sure I'm not sitting next to him. Maybe you give me a little blacklist of people you don't want to sit next to or be on the bus with. But I just want to say, it's no problem for us to put you on the same bus if you guys pick the same options A, B, C, or D. Okay? Where we run into a problem is if your friends are coming after Christmas and you're coming before Christmas, some of the tours are on different days, and you may have already done some of the tours that they're going to do. So if you go on their bus, you're going to get tours twice, and you're probably going to miss some other tours, and vice versa for them. Okay, so please keep that in mind if you're wanting to travel with friends. The other thing about the hotel is that we will have some different rooms available as well. So with the tour, we include a standard room, but there may be an opportunity to upgrade to a family room or a superior room. Once we have those, we'll put them on the website. One of the things, once we have people register, in about a few weeks from now, we'll start a web page for those that have registered, where we'll have information just for members of the tour, where you can go on there and you can see some new things we've added, some more information we've added, information on some of the destinations, as well as things like, hey, we have these hotel rooms available if you're interested, okay? We also put that type of information will also be put on our Facebook. I know a lot of you follow our Facebook, and so we put a lot of information on there, and then plus we'll send out emails. Now the thing with emails is I know that I do get messages back saying that they're bounced and that you're not getting them. So that's why I always ask if people are traveling with friends to make sure your friends are on the mailing list as well, because if you miss the mail, maybe they're getting the email and you guys can share information. The best thing is to go to the website once in a while and check for any new information. So during the tour itself, as I mentioned, we won't know what pool Canada's in or what teams they'll be in with until after the World Juniors here in Canada in Halifax and Moncton this year. If Canada's in the pool with Sweden, we'll probably be playing at the larger rink, the Scandinavium Arena. If Canada's not in Sweden's group, I would guess that we're going to be in the smaller arena, the Frölundaborg. We're going to get a mixture, they've already told us, of Category 1 and Category 2 tickets. They have a high demand from their local season ticket holders. So we'll do our best to give everybody an opportunity to sit in Category 1 or Category 2 and shuffle people around. The one thing I will say is I've been to the Scandinavian Marina, and I don't think there's a bad seat in the house with only 12,000 seats. So I don't think we're going to run into too many problems with having anybody with a seat that they don't like. Again, we include tickets to every Canada game. So that includes the quarterfinal. We'll get tickets to wherever Canada's playing that day and the other game, the other quarterfinal in that same arena. Some days we also get a ticket to the game before or after Canada plays in the arenas. You'll get those as well. And then, of course, we'll get tickets to both semifinals and both medal games. This is something that, as many of you know who like to go to World Juniors, is very difficult to get when you try to go to the World Juniors here in Canada, unless it was in Edmonton in the last couple of years. Other events that we have during the World Juniors are our New Year's Eve countdown. So last year we did it in the hospitality suite. I don't think we're going to have a hospitality suite every night, but one of the hotels I'm looking at has an atrium with lots of tables, and we'll set up our podcasts there that you guys have to listen to. Bryn makes me listen to it. And then we can have drinks there and everything else. But on New Year's Eve, what we're going to do is we're going to get a room, and we're going to do a little countdown after the game together while we're on doing our podcast, so everybody back home can see us. And we'll probably do the countdown at about 11:30 or so, because what we're going to do after is we're going to have bottles of champagne for everybody to take outside to go watch the fireworks, because the fireworks are supposed to be spectacular. On New Year's Day, many of you remember our New Year's parties. They're a lot of fun. We had a great band last year, if you guys remember, or not last year, geez, in 2020 at the World Juniors in Czech Republic. So we'll have a live band. I wonder if it's going to be hard to find a good Swedish band. Maybe we'll bring ABBA. So we'll have a band there that night, and of course we'll have a full dinner, and we'll have our own little countdown that night as well, and some nice things to do. We like to include a drink or two that night as well, as we do for some of our other dinners, so you'll have a little voucher. The first drink is on us. While in Gothenburg, we're also going to do a lot of sightseeing and day trips as well to keep you guys busy. And we have some really, really great activities planned for you guys. And a couple of them are on the pricey side, but you know what? We're there. We might as well do it. I want to give you guys full value for your money. I want to give you guys the best experience that I can, so that when you get back, you're telling your friends about us and saying, hey, that was a great experience. You guys should go next time. So one of them we had planned is the Paddan boat to Liseberg. Apparently the canals freeze at that time. So we are going to pay for the entrance fee to Liseberg for everybody. If we can do the Paddan boats, we will. Liseberg is where the biggest Christmas market in Gothenburg is, the amusement park area. They have a huge Christmas market that you'll see on the video when we put it up. And we're also going to do the Volvo Museum. Volvo Museum has iconic cars that they've built in the past, models, innovations, as well as some prototypes that they've done. And they've also built other products too. And I've looked at the website for it, and it looks quite interesting for everybody. One of the other things we're going to do on the 2 days off, as you guys know, there are 2 days off where there's no hockey. One day we're going to do a trip to Oslo, Norway. It's a bit of a hike, about 3.5 hours, but it's worth it. They have in the center of town a Christmas in Wonderland festival with markets, a big skating rink, so you can bring your skates. I think they actually rent skates. Maybe we could play a hockey game there if we got enough guys interested. Take over. And we're also going to go to the Fram Museum there. That's a very unique museum in Europe, and we'll do a sightseeing tour of Oslo. We're also going to Copenhagen, which I've been to Copenhagen a few times. Beautiful city. A lot of things to do in Copenhagen. We'll do a sightseeing tour of Copenhagen. The 17th century Nyhaven area is one of my favorite places to walk around. And of course, we're going to do a tour of Rosenberg Castle as well while we're there as part of our trip. We're going to go to a town called Marstrand, just 40 kilometers outside of Gothenburg one day. And we're going to go to a stone fortress that was built in 1658. It's on a little island, so we have to take a little ferry across. And we'll do a little tour of the castle. And we'll have dinner or lunch there, depending which tour you're on. The first 4 departures, we'll do a dinner there, Viking dinner one evening. The guys that come after Christmas, we will take them there for a lunch one afternoon. The other one that I found that kind of blows me away is a place called the Aeroseum. And what the Aeroseum is a Cold War underground bunker that was built in 1955 out by an Air Force base just outside of Gothenburg. And it's a massive space, and they've turned it into a museum. And so what they've done is they brought a lot of aircraft, Cold War military paraphernalia, and they've put it all down there. So that'll be a very interesting trip for us to go see that. They also have a simulator if you want to try flying a plane, not a real one. We're looking at doing a little bit of a reception there with everybody together. So that'll be a nice day for us. And then stay tuned. We might add another thing or two along the way. And after the World Juniors are over, we have a couple of return options. One of the things I do have to say is that the airport in Gothenburg is not the biggest or the most easy to fly into. We may be able to fly some people right into Gothenburg, but in a lot of cases we're going to be flying into Copenhagen and then driving up to Gothenburg, on the day of arrival. It's not too bad, but obviously we'd prefer to fly into Gothenburg, but I don't think we're going to have a lot of flight options to do that. On January 6th, some of Group A, the people on Group A, will be departing back to Canada. A couple of our groups will be going to Stockholm. That came after Christmas. They haven't gone to Stockholm yet, so they'll go to Stockholm for a couple of days, do the sightseeing tour, the Vasa Museum, and then they'll return home from Stockholm. The other option that I'm really excited about, and we have very limited space. I want to stress that, very limited space. I can't take 120 people. I might not even be able to take 80 people. It might be 40, 45 people. And that is our extension to go to Belgium and France after the World Juniors. And that tour I've done before with one of our corporate groups. And it's probably one of the most touching tours that I've ever been on, one of the most solemn tours I've been on, for the beginning part, of course. And we'll fly from Gothenburg into Brussels, or if we have to, we'll go to Copenhagen to fly into Brussels. We're going to do a tour of Brussels. Brussels is a European Union city. The old center of the city is called the Pentagon because of its shape. It has the Grand Palace, the Cathedral of St. Michael and St. Gulda. It also has the old Stock Exchange, the Royal St. Hubert Galleries, and of course the famous little statue, the mannequin piss. And yeah, he does piss. We're going to stay in Ghent, which is a medieval city. Ghent was a very important city in the medieval ages. It's probably one of the richest cities in the world because it controlled a lot of trade in the North Sea. And because of that, it has a beautiful city center. It's got medieval architecture. It has a castle. It's a university town now. It has a great pedestrian area. I think it's a great place for a base for us in Belgium, and known for a lot of really nice breweries, which I don't know if you guys would be interested in that anyway. And chocolate, of course. We're also going to go to Bruges, and I've been to Bruges before. I love Bruges. Bruges is known as the Venice of the North. Bruges has canals, and it's an amazing city. I never knew much about it. Again, it was very wealthy in medieval times. And Bruges, we'll do a tour there. The Market Square is an unbelievable place. It has a belfry that is just unbelievable. Has anybody seen the movie In Bruges with Colin Farrell? If you haven't, I suggest you guys see that movie if you guys want to see what Bruges is about. And the chocolatiers there, unbelievable chocolatiers everywhere. If you love chocolate, that's your place. And there's the odd place that has beer as well. The next day is something that, again, when I was speaking about reflecting and a solemn place, and we're going to do a tour of Canadian war memorials from the First World War. And we're going to go to Passchendaele, that many of you have read about in the past or heard about, where Canadians fought bravely. We're also going to go to the St. Julian Monument near Landemark. And the St. Julian Monument is where the Germans first used chemical warfare against French troops and Canadian troops, and the Canadians held and suffered big casualties because of the chemical warfare. We're also going to go to the Tyncott Cemetery. It's the largest Commonwealth cemetery in the world. And I tell you, it's when you walk amongst those rows and you see all those headstones with Canadian flags, and you look at the ages of some of the kids, and I mean kids, 17, 18 years old, that perished there. I don't know what's more touching than that. Kind of chokes me up right now. We're also going to go to the Essex Farm Cemetery. And the Essex Farm Cemetery is where Colonel John McCrae wrote In Flanders Fields. So we'll go right to the very area where he worked as a surgeon and wrote the famous poem that we all know very well. We're going to go to Ypres, or as called Yper in Dutch. And there they have the Flanders Fields Museum. And they also have the Menin Gate. And believe it or not, at the Menin Gate, every evening at 8 o'clock, they do a ceremony for all the soldiers from everywhere that died in the First World War, Second World War, fighting for their land. So we'll be there for the final post ceremony. I think that's something that we'll remember for a long, long time. After we're complete our days in Belgium, we go to Paris. On the way to Paris, we're going to stop at another place I've been before that as a Canadian, I don't know if there's a place in the world as a Canadian that brings emotion up more than Vimy Ridge. Vimy Ridge, many Canadians fought in Vimy Ridge and died there trying to gain that ridge when other countries couldn't. The Canadians finally did, with great sacrifice, and paid a huge price. We will do a little tour there of the Vimy Ridge Monument and of some of the trenches that are still there, where we can see where our brave soldiers fought in terrible conditions many, many years ago that we should not forget. From there we go to Paris. We'll arrive to Paris in the evening. One of the things we might do that evening is have an optional tour. If people want to go see the Moulin Rouge, we'll arrange tickets for people who want to go that evening to go see it. We'll be in Paris 3 nights. The next day in Paris, in the morning, we're going to do a guided sightseeing tour of Paris, going to all the major sites. In the afternoon, we're going to go to Versailles and see the former royal residence of King Louis XIV from the 17th century. I was shocked to know that the palace was abandoned at one point and sat in ruins. And only in the 1800s did they start to refurbish it and use it again. Now it belongs to the French state. And of course, they've brought it back to former glory. And it's a very popular place to visit when people are in Paris. We'll also have free time for you the next day. The whole day is free until the evening. So you'll be able to go to, I'm sure, some of the museums, the Louvre, I'm sure for some would be at the top of the list, as well as visit some of the other landmarks, shops, classical bistros lots to do in Paris. And then in the evening, we're going to end our tour with an evening dinner cruise on the Seine River, which I've done before, and it's quite an amazing thing. The Eiffel Tower is lit up, sparkling, and to see Notre Dame and some of the other landmarks from the water is one of the unforgettable experiences that we'll have in Paris. So one of the things I would mention again is that the brochure is now available for download on the website. So you can go to the website, download the brochure that you guys have in front of you. There's also on there a registration portal. You'll see a link to a registration portal where you could download the registration form, the rate sheet, and download as well the FAQ sheet that answers a lot of questions. Those of you that aren't here today and watching on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to be sending out an email tomorrow morning with a password, as well as to everybody here, to get onto that registration portal. Okay? So that will be going out tonight. So in terms of the registration process itself, starting tonight, anybody that has gone on our tours before, and that could be the World Junior Tour, a sightseeing tour, a sports tour, any type of tour with AZORCAN, they have the opportunity to register for the World Junior Tour starting tonight with their deposit. Priority list members, and we have 1,700 on the list, families, can start registering on the 16th of December, but they can send in their registration in advance. I'll set it aside as we receive it. I'll number them, and then on the 16th, I'll go through the ones we've received first and register them first. So if you're on the priority list and you want to guarantee your spot on the tour, you can send your registration in early, and you'll be probably confirmed on the first day, the 16th, when your registration window opens. On January 1st, it'll be open to the public. So anybody that isn't a past member or on the priority list will be available to register at that time. For priority list members to be eligible to register on the 16th, they have to be on the priority list before the 15th of December. So that means nobody could get on the priority list on the 27th of December and register. They would have to wait till January 1st. The registration sheet is pretty easy to fill out. At the top, you'll indicate if you're a past tour member or if you're a priority list member. And please fill out one sheet per room. So if you need multiple rooms, please fill out multiple sheets. Okay? Indicate your departure by flight. So on the rate sheet, the prices that we have on the rate sheet are based on an estimate of flights out of Edmonton or Calgary. Once we get registrations and we see where people are flying from, we will be able to get back to you and say, okay, this is the discount or additional price from your gateway. So for example, if you're flying out of Toronto, your tour cost may be $200 less because your flight is $200 less. Okay? The one thing I will guarantee to people is if you put your deposit down, $500 deposit to guarantee a spot on the tour, I guarantee the price in February when we know the final price and have flight costs and everything else. If the cost of the package is higher than what it is when you put down your $500 deposit, you can cancel at that time without a penalty. As soon as you make your second payment, then you're on board, and all payments after that are non-refundable. Okay? When you do the second payment, that's also when we purchase insurance. So everybody will be insured at that point, so that if there is a medical situation or other situation that keeps you from going that is covered by the insurance, you'll have the insurance to cover you in those cases. On the registration sheet, you'll also indicate how many people in your room. Triple rooms are possible, but I was just looking at what the hotels have to offer. A lot of times a triple room is a twin, two twins, or a double bed and a sofa bed. So it might not be the most comfortable thing for the third person. For the difference in price, might be better to get a single and a double, although we may have family rooms available that have 2 bedrooms, okay? And please, when you submit your registration, please submit a photocopy of your passport page that has all your information. That's how I get and make sure and ensure that all airline tickets are correct with the name exactly as it appears on the passport, that your birth dates are right for insurance, and we also have to supply the hotels a list of our passport number, birth dates, everything as required for check-in. Usually if we do that, they don't bother us at check-in and have everybody check in individually. We can get all the room keys and hand them to you as you arrive, so it's way more convenient rather than have everybody one at a time fill out a little slip with your address and all your information, and then, you know, do your passport and all that. No spots will be held without a deposit, okay? A lot of times I get people phone, oh yeah, Paul, I'm going to send it in, just save me the spots. Well, that's not fair to people that send in their items by mail, so we won't be doing that. Checks are made to AZORCAN. On the registration sheet, there is the address to send it to. Again, you cannot send courier to a box address, so regular mail. You can do express post with Canada Post if you want to send it next day or within 2 days, okay? Some people ask about e-transfer. We prefer a check. We can do e-transfer, but we are limited by how many we can do. So in that case, if you want to do an e-transfer, you need to email me your registration. And once you're confirmed, I will send you back the information to do an e-transfer, okay, if available. In terms of future payments, we're looking at a payment February 15, May 15, and then the final payment October 15th. And the reason we need those payments early is we have to pay for the tickets in advance. And obviously, a lot of these places that we're using for tours, for events, I'm sure there's other people there that are going to be phoning them to look for things to do. So I want to make sure that we have all our dates and all our activities secured well in advance so that we get exactly what we want. Unfortunately, as we all know, since COVID, a lot of prices have gone up on a lot of things. And it's no different when we start looking at tours like this. Our flight cost for Czech Republic was about $1,400. I mean, we've done tours to Sweden this year for Ringette that we have coming up in April. Their cost was $2,000 a flight. So we've budgeted approximately $1,700, $1,800. I think we can do that. But flights have gone up. Insurance costs have skyrocketed as well, as have hotels, cost of food, as we all know. And hotels in Europe are approximately 20-25% higher. And I guarantee you that Sweden are not selling tickets at the same price that the Czechs were for the tournament. It's probably double the cost of what it was. So I just want to say that we've done everything possible to keep the price reasonable as much as we can, taking all these costs into consideration. But the one thing I don't want to do, and that I'll never do, is I don't want to cut corners on the tour and give you guys a tour event that is different than other events that we've put on. I want to make sure that we have all the activities, you know, the quality of the tours, the quality of the parties that we have, same as we did before. The cost of the tour, the extension to Belgium and France, is about $2,500 to $2,800, depending if it's double or single. That includes a flight, plus 4-star hotels, all the tours, the dinner cruise, entrance fees to everything. It's a pretty good price. We work with a partner of ours in Holland that does a lot of tours for us in the Benelux countries and France, and they've worked with us to do their best to ensure that we get full value for our money. And the hotels that they're going to supply us are the same standard of tours that we've done to Paris and Belgium in the past as well. So I know that standard. It's 4 stars, same as our hotels in Sweden. And so in terms of the standard that we're offering, I think it's going to be a very good standard. So I'd like to thank everybody for coming tonight. I'd like to thank those that are watching on Facebook and YouTube. I'd also like to let everybody know that tonight's meeting will be available on Facebook and YouTube at a later date. Bryn and I, by the way, Bryn Griffiths is right here to my left. Sorry, those at home, you probably saw him peek in the camera before we started a few times. Bryn and I will be doing podcasts leading up to the World Juniors as we have in the past. And we fully expect to do podcasts every day from the World Juniors back to Canada so that people back home can see what you guys are up to. And I can mention names of anybody who's behaving poorly. The one difference this year is that the podcasts will be video podcasts. So it'll be similar to like we're doing tonight. It'll be live on Facebook and YouTube. So you'll really have to behave this time. You know? So we look forward to those podcasts with Bryn. And actually we have some that are be going up right away that we taped before tonight of me going over a lot of these same things. So if you don't want to watch the repeat video on YouTube or on Facebook, you can listen to the podcasts as well. Okay? Thank you, everybody. And I hope to see many of you on the tour next year. Hopefully everything goes well globally, that we're able to be together next year in Sweden and be able to enjoy our company again and hopefully cheer on Canada to another gold medal. That would be fantastic. Thank you. Oh. Okay, I forgot we have one more other important thing, and you guys know I like to